Welcome back. If you haven't seen the other videos, you can catch up by watching those, or you can start right here. We're in the middle of a series called Christian Apologetics. And Christian Apologetics is basically looking at the Christian faith and defending the Christian faith from a reasonable, logical stance. So that's what this series is about. The hope is that creates in you a desire to understand God better and to be able to grow in your knowledge and in your relationship with God. Because if you want to have a relationship with anybody, you should strive to understand that person better. So today we're actually going to be talking about scientific discoveries in faith and looking at a teleological argument. And I'll explain what that is in just a minute, but I actually want to start by reading Romans 1 verse 20. And this is what Romans 1:20 says. For since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, His eternal power, and His divine nature have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made, so that men are without excuse. So what that is basically saying is that when we just look around the world, that we can see God's invisible qualities, His power, His divine nature by looking at the nature around us. So a teleological argument basically looks at the world around us and it says that there is an order to the universe. And that order is actually best explained by the existence of God. So I'll give you an analogy of a teleological system. So teleological, again, tries to look at an order within our universe. The best analogy that I've heard of is actually of a watch. And so if you look at any watch, and if you were to take it apart, you would see that there's an order to how this works. There's a way that it's designed so that it keeps time and that it works perfectly for you to know what time of day it is, or to record your fastest time at a swim meet or running, or to set your alarm so you don't wake up late for school. I guess that's not a big issue right now for you all, but there's an order to how this is created, which means that somebody put this together and created this. In that same breath, looking at someone's eyeball, I don't know if you can see my eyeball very well, but if you look at how the eyeball is put together, there seems to be an order, and everything within that eyeball needs to function and work together. Otherwise, you're going to have some big issues. So that's a teleological system, is something that works together, has order, and there's parts that depend on each other to function. So when we look at our universe, that's actually called wider teleology. And it refers to the entire universe. So there's an order to our universe that makes it exist and function properly, so that life can exist, so that the universe exists at all. There's this idea of fine-tuning, and it basically means that there are several specific features of our universe that need to function and work together to make the universe possible. Now these are so many, there's so many of these that it basically is highly improbable that our universe exists without a creator. And so when we talk about the teleological argument, that's basically what it is, that there are so many intricate characteristics and designs that must function correctly and work together for our universe to exist. So the collection of all of these life-permitting cosmological characteristics are actually called fine-tuning of the cosmos. And I'll give you a couple examples of these characteristics, these fine-tunings that must work together perfectly, otherwise the whole universe actually falls apart. The Big Bang, when God creates the universe, if it happens too rapidly, stars won't be able to develop, and therefore life won't be able to exist on Earth without the sun, which is a star, if you didn't know. So it can't go too fast, but it also, the Big Bang can't go too slow. Otherwise, the universe will actually collapse on itself. I'll give you another example. If you look at the strength of the nuclear force that binds protons and neutrons together inside the nuclei of an atom, if that strength is too strong or if it's too weak, the whole atom falls apart, and therefore nothing exists if that happens. And so there's all these characteristics, and when you add them all up, it almost seems impossible that our universe would exist. And science actually fully agrees with the likelihood being so small, so minute, because of all these characteristics having to work out perfectly. And so the question is it random? Is it by chance? Or is there a creator? Someone who had this perfect design, someone who was all-knowing, all-powerful, and put this design together so that life is sustainable on the earth. I want to take a glance at Psalm 19, 1 through 6. This is what Psalm 19, 1 through 6 says. The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands. Day after day they pour forth speech, and night after night they display knowledge. There is no speech or language where their voice is not heard. Their voice goes out into all the earth, their words to the ends of the world. In the heavens he has pitched a tent for the sun, which is like a bridegroom coming forth from his pavilion, like a champion rejoicing to run his course. It rises at one end of the heaven and makes its circuit to the other. Nothing is hidden from its heat. What that's saying is God is this all-knowing, all-powerful designer, and that he's created the world, the universe, to work in a way where life exists. And there are signs of God's amazing creative work all over the place. The problem is, in our past, the scientific community and the faith community seem to be at odds. But I don't think that's the way it needs to be. Like for me, I think the more that we understand this world, more than that psalmist even wrote, the more we see the intricacies of all these characteristics of our world, the more we see there must be a designer. And the likelihood begins to move even further towards a creator when we look at this amazing, intricate, detailed creation. I think science and scientific discoveries actually open our eyes to the awesomeness of this all-knowing and all-powerful God. So much that the likelihood and the chance of this all randomly fitting together doesn't even seem like an option. Guys, thanks for watching the video. I can't wait till we can again see each other face to face in person, not behind masks, and be able to actually hang out. So I'll see you guys, I'm sure, sometime this summer. Bye.